wanted to come on and tell you a little bit about myself, actually a lot about myself. I'm a mom and I love to garden, and I currently am living with a rare form of cancer called Neuroendocrine Carcinoma. And so those three things are really the basis for my channel. So just a background on the reason for the video. I was diagnosed in 2018 with neuroendocrine carcinoma, called NETs for short. It was a long road to get there. Starting back in 2014, my family and I were at a NFL game, and I got so sick at the stadium, and so we ended up having to leave early. Went to the emergency room. They admitted me. They thought I was having issues with my heart. So I think that was the first time I was actually admitted for symptoms of my cancer, but they kept saying that it was heart related. So I'd stay in the hospital a couple of days. I'd get discharged saying nothing was wrong with my heart. The second time I really probably noticed something was in 2015. My family was hosting Thanksgiving dinner, and afterwards I got so sick. The pain was so horrible in my I think it's my right side. I felt like I was just gonna pull up everything I had eaten that day. So I didn't go to the emergency room because, again, we had a house full of people, but I did get up the steps to lay down and kind of sort of felt better the next day. Let's see. Then it just kind of kept happening. I just kept feeling really nauseous, having really bad pains. 2018 is when I finally decided they have to figure out what's going on with me. And so I was home, I was working from home, and I got really sick again. The pain was horrible. I remember telling my oldest son, you have to take me to the emergency room, like I have to go right now. And I get there, of course they're testing my heart, put me on like a 24-hour observation in the emergency room. Again, your heart's fine, they send me home. Within a week, I was back at the emergency room. The pain was completely unbearable. I remember I was on the sofa trying to work because I could no longer sit at my desk. The pain was just so bad. So, moved to the sofa in the living room, and I remember being on the sofa, and then I remember being on the ground, on the floor, and my phone was right next to me, and for some reason the only thing I could think to do was to text my brother and sister and just basically tell them I cannot take the pain anymore. And that was it. I think that was the only thing I said to them. Of course, that sent them into a panic, and so my brother's like, you have to call an ambulance, and I'm like, they're just gonna tell me nothing's wrong with me and send me home. Like, I just don't know what to do. So he finally convinced me to call the ambulance, and I did. Got to the emergency room. My sister met me there. And again, they gave me pain meds, started talking about my heart. And you have to remember, like, after that first, let me move back. So I went to the emergency room like that week, the first time that week, and they sent me to my primary care. And so my primary care was like, we'll go to the gynecologist. It sounds like, you're having some hormone issues. So I'm just being juggled around at this point. Still no one knows what's going on with me. And so now I'm back at the emergency room again. And they're talking about my heart. And I'm kind of frustrated because I'm like, it's not my heart. I'm fine. My heart's fine. But of course now they've given me pain meds. I'm sitting on the side of the bed. I'm feeling much better. My sister had stepped out. The doctor comes in And I remember him saying, "Where's your sister?" And I said, "Oh, she just stepped out for a minute, but have a seat. I'm feeling good now, so I'm like, have a seat, because in my mind they're getting ready to say my heart's fine and send me back home." That didn't happen. This time he looks at me, and I remember hearing him say, "You have liver cancer." His lips continued to move, but I didn't hear another word he said. Don't know how long that went on before the door opened, and me and the doctor both kind of looked at the door, and it was my sister coming in. And I remember him asking me if I wanted him to tell her. I don't know if I responded or not, but he said the words again, "Your sister has liver cancer," and all of a sudden my mouth drops. It's like it was the first time I heard it, even though I know he said it before, but it never fully registered. My sister, of course, was just so upset. And so that was the first time I had somewhat of a diagnosis. And I say somewhat because I had a follow-up appointment with an oncologist, and after staying in the hospital for a couple of days, and then they sent me home. So I follow up with the oncologist that they set up for me. My brother goes to that appointment with me, and he says, "No, you don't have liver cancer." And so now I'm totally confused because, they said my liver is full of tumors, so why don't I have liver cancer? Well, he says you have a rare form of cancer called neuroendocrine carcinoma. And he told me that, nothing he was going to say would make me feel better. There's no cure. All you do is treat the symptoms. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, I have to prepare for death. I have two, teenage sons. I have to figure out my life. I got to get everything in order. But he kept reassuring me that, it wasn't a death sentence, basically. Neuroendocrine carcinoma, basically the way my oncologist puts it is you live with it, you don't die from it. So it's not something that's going to kill me, but I do have to take precautions to regulate the symptoms. So I take a monthly injection or every 4-week injection, and I try to live as best as possible. I did start having some slight growth, and so they took me off work because I was just really stressed out. So right now, I'm not currently working, but I'm trying to spend as much time as I can just to stay busy. I was already gardening before this happened, but this just made me do it on a much larger scale because I'm like, I need to get as many fresh vegetables as possible. I want to be able to share with my family because I want them to be healthy. And so that's kind of the basis for this channel. I have a niece that just started asking me a lot of questions because she wanted to get into gardening, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go ahead and record what I do. So, if you choose to follow me on this journey, you'll see kind of my ins and outs of living with cancer. You will see my gardening process, and that's kind of it. So I hope that, the explanation of why I started this channel. Oh, and so you're probably wondering, okay, we understand the gardening, but where's the zebra coming in? So neuroendocrine carcinoma is rare. Very few people that have cancer have this type of cancer. And so, you go to the doctor and they look for the horse, which in my case was heart problems. The horse was just, this is what these symptoms look like. This is what we're going to try to treat you for. But sometimes instead of looking for the horse, you kind of have to look for the zebra, the rarer horse-like entity. And so that's where neuroendocrine carcinoma took on the zebra as kind of their mascot. So that's where the gardening zebra came from. So If you're interested in seeing, you know, how I'm able to live with this form of cancer, and you're at all interested in gardening, planning, I'm a big planner and plan to share a lot of that. You know, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. If anything I said, you know, sounds a little bit inspirational, that, you know, even though I have this cancer, I plan on living a full life with it, you know, like, hit that like button for me. And if you know anyone that would benefit from following my journey, go ahead and share this video, because I hope that it will be an inspiration to as many people as possible, and just to show that this is something you can live with. Again, I plan on living with it and not dying from it. So that's my story, and I'd love for you to come along with the journey. And, you know, hey, zero strong, because we're going to do this. So if you made it to the end, thank you so much. Bye-bye.